Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Squirrel. This is Jody.
And this is Candace.
And today is the very first episode of 2025. It makes it sound like the year's getting old.
Well, it's a quarter. We've hit a quarter.
It's a full quarter. We're
I don't like
quarter of a
that.
century.
I don't like that at all.
And we've lived every year of it, which is odd. So, because we're in January, and I think a lot of people are thinking about what they want to do for the year and the goals and the projects and the accomplishments that they want to work towards. So this is a really good time to really just amp up motivation for everybody. So I have a special Motivation Deluxe episode for the new year.
Yes. I'm very nervous about this. Because not that I need motivation or jumpstarting, but I don't know. Maybe I do need motivation and jumpstarting.
Everyone needs a little bit of love.
I just get nervous at the beginning of the year because I don't know.
There's so much potential out there.
There's a lot of pressure. All of a sudden,
There
like,
is.
well, maybe I should do something better with my life, and a reflection of what did I do wrong last year, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So-
I can see that.
Anyway.
All right, so one of the hardest things about being a writer is finding the motivation to do the work when there's no guarantee it's going to have any sort of positive impact. While we can do what's required to create success, there's no knowing what's going to happen once we release our stories or our blogs or our social media out into the world. Today, I would like to look at building productive creative habits through a different lens. I read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And so a lot of this episode is going to be pulled from what I learned from that book and a bunch of other books that were similar to it. It's a great book for anyone wanting to make a positive change in their life, but they don't want to turn their life upside down.
Okay.
So the big idea behind this book is to become the person you want to be and to achieve the success you want. And the key message is setting arbitrary goals can be really frustrating. I know most people are like, oh, I'm going to set a goal. I'm not going to eat more than 1,800 calories a day. I'm like, that's great.
Do I have to cross that off my list now?
Was that one of your goals?
One of my goals is to lose 10 pounds, which people will go, why? But,
Well, I think everybody has a health goal.
yeah, I
Going
want to be
into
more
most
healthy.
years, most people have health goals.
And I want to take a dance class.
Dance classes are amazing. See, that's probably more motivating to you
Yes.
than trying to just lose weight. And
That's true. Okay.
And we're going to definitely dig into that because
Okay.
that's one of the big points of the book is that you need to envision yourself as a person you want to be. So if you envision yourself as a really good dancer, what are some things that really good dancers do? They go to classes. They hang out with other dancer people. Anyway, we'll get into that too.
Okay.
All right. And so we'll start with kind of the philosophy behind the power of tiny changes, and then we'll dig into the 4 key principles to how to approach any of these big accomplishments you want to reach towards.
Okay, tiny changes. No, I want to hear about, I understand the concept because it sounds simple, but what does that exactly mean?
So the
your
example that
context.
he uses is, and some people get really hung up, he likes the idea of a 1% improvement. All right, what's something you could do that could improve anything you're doing, like anything you do regularly by 1%? People are like, well, how do I measure
Right,
exactly 1%? I'm like, does it make a tiny change? That's 1%. Perfect. Don't overthink it. So
Okay.
one of my stupid ones was when I wash my hair, I have to let the conditioner sit because I'm a curly girl. And when I do that, I bun it up on top of my head. And half the time I forget to put a clip in the shower to keep it there. And so it falls down and it drives me crazy. And so my 1% improvement is making sure I have the stupid clip in the shower so it stays on my head. It's a dumb thing, but it makes a big difference.
Okay.
Another stupid thing was making sure I put a pair of socks and a different hair clip. My hair rules my life.
It kind of needs to.
It has its own atmosphere. Like getting shoes, socks, and 2 hair clips. So when I go down in the basement to do my morning stuff, I don't have to go back upstairs to get those things because I know I'm going to need them when I walk on the treadmill.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just a 1% thing. It's just a tiny improvement, making sure I know where they are before I get up. So when it comes to creative people and writers, I think making these tiny improvements, making little 1% improvements over time could build successful writing careers. And I think a lot of people have this idea, people who haven't gotten their book done yet, people who are like, I want to write a book because I feel that it's going to bring me fame and glory and it's going to do it overnight. Like all I have to do is write a book and hit go.
Isn't that funny?
And it is this, I see it in writers. They've been working on writing their book forever. They have this belief still because I don't think anyone's broken it for them. Or they're like, I'm the exception. I'm going to be the one that's really successful. And I'm like, you have 40 million author friends. Ask any of them.
So looking at a 1% like adjustment in your thinking patterns, right? That's kind of what you're
well,
for, right?
Right now I just want to emphasize that nobody turns into a celebrity overnight. Mm-hmm. Nobody puts a book out and is famous and rich overnight.
Yes.
To get there takes thousands and thousands of small steps.
That's true. So you should look at the accomplishments that you've done to find that success. I think the best way to find that success is finding your audience. And that takes a good eye. And that takes some time to find that audience. By doing it in small steps, I think that you find that audience, they'll be interested enough to stay with you. Would that work?
Could be like, if your goal is to find an audience and your goal is to be a successful creative, whether that be a writer or an artist or a musician, part of the effort would be like, okay, well, what would a successful writer do to help to go find that audience? What's one small thing I could do today that will help me find that audience? Maybe it's signing up for a Facebook group that is geared towards that audience and starting participating in it and seeing what that audience is looking for.
Okay.
Like participate as a reader, see what that audience likes, see what they're looking for, see what books they're cheerleading. And that could be just one tiny thing that you do regularly to start learning what your audience is. And it's a really powerful thing. And you're making real connections with real people.
Okay. That's a good idea.
As long as you're authentic, because if you go in, you're like, I'm an author, I have a book, read my book, read my book, read my book. They're going to be like, leave this group.
Yes.
If you're like, I'm an author, but I'm also a reader and I really, really love this discussion. Let's talk about this specific thing and be someone who adds to the discussion. They're like, we love you.
Yeah.
And it changes the tone.
True. Okay. So you have listed here identity-based habits.
And we kind of talked on that. So it's not just I want to lose weight. Like if you wanted to lose weight and your whole thing is I'm just going to watch my calories and be more active, but you don't change how you think of yourself as a person, it's going to be really hard to do those things.
Okay.
And so it's talking about, and the book talks about this, where you need to start saying, okay, well, I am a healthy person. That is the identity I want. I am a healthy person. And once you identify as that healthy person, then it's more like, well, what would a healthy person do? Well, a healthy person would not order the double quarter pounder.
It's not that. It's I have a lot of Snickers in my house.
The healthy person would find better snacking options. Yes. The healthy person would always have a thing of water next to them. I mean, all of those are 1% improvements. There's a lot of people who the goal is, I want to write a book. But what they really should starting to focus on is building the identity of I am a writer.
Okay, I get it. So shifting the idea of I want to write a book to I am a writer.
And if you want to make a career out of it, I am a successful writer and business person. But baby steps. Pick which one you want to identify with first. That's the easiest step to get to. The one you can believe the first.
Okay. Well, I look at it like any other discipline, I guess. If I have that mindset of being a writer, I need to create the action behind the statement, right? So being a writer is like, and I've talked about this before, it's like working a muscle, right? You need to strengthen up that muscle. So just like me starting yoga this year or dancing, it's going to strengthen those muscles in order to be that writer that you're encouraging.
Absolutely. It goes down to the whole idea of manifestation. And this is a whole different topic that we're not going to dive into much. We're just going to touch on it. I think
we've talked about manifestation in another episode.
Yeah, it's come up once or twice.
Look into
it's something that I really like. It's the idea of projecting the you want to be into the world, but taking the steps required to become that person. So it's not just enough to be like, I will myself to be an Amazon bestseller. It's more like, if I was an Amazon bestseller, how would I structure my day? What are things I would need to do to reach that point? It's like, oh, I need to write more books. Duh. So like it's changing your thought pattern. So instead of just being like, oh, I've got to do all this weird arbitrary stuff, you have a focus. You're like, oh, I have a goal of doing this, therefore I'm going to be doing all of these things to get there. If you believe you're a successful writer but never sit down to write, there's a disconnect.
That's true.
You can't call yourself a successful writer if you can't get your butt in the chair and actually write.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you start thinking, what would a successful writer do? And then shape your life around it, like one baby step at a time, slowly you're going to become that successful writer you want to be. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to slowly build in habits that are sustainable for how your life is right now.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that a lot.
That's true. Let's dive into the book then that you grabbed principles from. You said you grabbed 4 different principles that we're going to focus on.
Yes. Like if you have these 1% improvements that you want to do, these micro goals, these baby steps to get you where you want to be, these are 4 different things you can implement to make it easier for yourself. And we want to make things as easy as possible. And so the very, very first principle for making these baby step goals easier is make the goal obvious. Make the thing you want to do obvious. And so, like, you can't work towards something if you forget that you wanted to do it. If you forget that that goal existed.
That's happened before.
It happens. It's super easy. So, like, you should create visual cues that can help you remember that. And I do this with random stuff. Like, if I want to drink more water, I'll make sure I fill up my water bottle and leave it next to my workstation because I'm going to sip on that thing because it's there.
Does your little fancy watch tell you that to do stuff too?
I'm sure there's apps that will remind me to like.
It's one of the reasons why I never wanted like a watch, a Google Watch or Apple Watch.
There's even a bottle that'll chirp at you.
That's irritating.
Like you put and it's any bottle you want, and you just put like a bracelet thingy on it, and it knows when you lift it.
No.
So some people are like, I need that because
I don't want a babysitter.
Like I say. Choose a baby step that works good for you.
That's true.
If you're the person who puts it there and still doesn't drink because it's not your habit to drink, then maybe having it yell at you might be helpful. Maybe it'll just drive you crazy.
Maybe you should drink water now.
Hey, you should drink water.
Okay.
So, like, if you wanted to do more journaling, pick out a journal and a pen that you like. Like, if you already have one, great. If you need to get one, your baby step is to find one you like. But put it in that comfy spot that you want to sit and journal in the morning. Because if it's there and you're in the morning, you're like, oh, I was going to journal. You're seeing it there. You're getting a visual cue. Let's go journal. It's there and it's morning. And that's when I said I was going to do it. If it's in a drawer and you're going about your morning, you're probably not going to remember until it's too late to be like, oh, I was going to journal. Anyway, random thing.
For this, I selected just creating a creative workspace that cues you to creating that good writing habit.
Yeah.
So it's like a, I don't know, Pinterest board for you. I think your workspace should be encouraging you to write.
You should want to go sit there.
Yes. And it should be an inviting space that helps motivate you as well. Like, I don't know, do you have like a little kitty picture that says hang in there or
You've
something?
seen my office.
Yes.
Half the time I can't see the surfaces.
Yes, no, I do like it. I have it, so in my workspace, I have like framed some of my awards. So that helps me remind me that I have done and accomplished good things. I also have a calendar. It's the B-Corn. I'm going to plug this.
Okay.
The B-Corns calendar,
I had
everyone.
questions when I saw that.
B-Corns is the cutest thing ever. Yes, Instagram, this guy, he's amazing. And I'll definitely put it like in the descriptions because B-Corns is the cutest thing ever. This guy like creates these little like faces out of acorns.
Aww.
And then he like creates scenes.
I think I've seen these.
Yeah, and then he'll have like berries and they're holding these berries and then like the squirrel comes up to the berry and he takes a picture of it. I have a calendar of this.
That's really cute.
I'm absolutely supporting this guy because it's amazing. it brightens my day. It gives me a lot of creativity in the moment to see, and I like calendars for my goal setting, so I can see visually what I should be doing. So I do really run by calendars.
And visual reminders I think are really important for neurospicy brains, because like sometimes a Post-it notes, like you see so many of them and you just blur them all out. You're just like, yeah. But if you see the pen, you're like, oh, that's the pen I was going to use to work on this thing. You're like, ooh, I want to do that because I like the pen.
Yeah.
Or back to the water bottle example. But yeah, and so after you've kind of made it obvious, like what your goal is, make a visual reminder, make a space for it, make it obvious that that's something that's important to you. Because if you're like, I'm going to be an artist, but all of your stuff is in the basement in a box that you don't know where the box is, but you have an idea where it is, yeah, you're not going to get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So the second principle after make it obvious is to make it attractive, make it fun, make it rewarding, like make it something that you're drawn to. And one of those big things is finding a community of people that are passionate about it.
True. What I would like to talk about is maybe not only the community, like we have a great community of writers, but other people are very encouraging. When you are writing a project and have a project, it's really good to have other people give encouragement on what you're doing and to make it all polished and pretty and ready to go. There's multiple different ways of finding a community. If you're one of those people that don't have a strong base around you, like physical people, there's plenty on Discord that would be, I'm going to especially say Discord, because that is a gaming platform for a lot of people that are introverted but are creative and want to write. So that's a really good platform for getting that encouragement to continue writing.
And the other part of making it attractive is finding a way to equate it with some kind of reward, whether an internal reward or an external reward. Because like completing a project is its own reward. Like you get a huge serotonin hit from finishing a project. Book projects take forever.
They're lengthy.
If you're not getting that serotonin hit when you're doing the work, your brain's going to actively fight you when you go to work because it's like, this isn't rewarding. I don't like it. So this is where you can trick your brain. All right.
I would love to know this trick because I get to that like 75%. And I'm like, this all sucks. Like everything is awful.
Well, and it's thinking around the problem, because sometimes the problem is you're writing something that's really hard to write. But if you know that you can sit down and not be disturbed by people, and that is a reward. Like for me, knowing I'm not going to be bothered by small people for any period of time, like part of me, that is a reward.
That sounds like a reward.
That is a reward. Being able to prepare a favorite drink, a cappuccino, or like a really yummy hot chocolate, or like having something where I can enjoy this drink while I work on this hard thing. I get a serotonin hit from that. You do that enough times, your brain equates the hard work with a serotonin hit. It doesn't care where the serotonin hit comes from. If it's the music you're listening to because you love it, great. If it's like a special treat, great. If it's just getting away from people and doing something you love, amazing. Train your brain that you will be rewarding it with something it likes every time you sit down and work. And all of a sudden it's going to be like, can we go work some more? Please, because it was nice and I got rewarded and it was good and happy sprinkles. Yeah. Make it attractive. And that's brain science there.
Yeah. So the third principle here you have is make it easy.
Yeah. No one likes hard stuff. No one likes hard stuff. Yeah. I mean, some people are like, I really like stuff that's punishing and hard. You have to build up to that. So you want to make it easy. You want the stuff that you are trying to do to feel super effortless. And so if you've never sat down to do a creative project, you've never sat down to write a short story, maybe your goal or your tiny step for that day is going to be rereading a favorite short story. It's easy. Yeah. That's something that's simple. Maybe it's coming up with a couple different random ideas of stuff you'd like to write about. Start small. Start with something that's super easy that you cannot fail.
And being in the time that we are living in, there are so many helps out there.
Oh, yeah.
So you can get templates. You can do quick and easy templates. There's programs that can help keep all your stuff together. There's prompts you can find. There's so much technology out there that can help you to make it a lot more simple than having a ton of things all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. I think
that would be my make it easy.
Well, and
thing.
You can do something like this is a 1% improvement. Have the icon for the thing you're working on in the center of your screen on your desktop. And like make the title really bold. Like make it easy. Because if it's like 3 folders deep to get to, that's 2 clicks too many to get to, and you're going to find yourself on Facebook or your social media of choice. YouTube has been really tempting.
Okay.
So the next key principle is to make the work satisfying.
So satisfying in relation to attractive. So attractive is being
to draw you to it, yes.
Drawn to it. Where satisfying, you just need to define your reward, I guess, right?
It's like when you finish.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, you just need to personally clarify what your reward would be. And for me, I like bubble baths. Isn't that dumb? That sounds really dumb.
Sure.
But I really like my time away. So
like we're going to work with our brain chemistry instead of against it. Like if you need willpower, your willpower will run out.
Yeah.
You need it to be attractive and sexy. You want it to be something you want to do.
Something that will make you smile.
Yeah. So. And the other side of satisfying is to be able to look back on what you've done and feel good about it. And so, because like if you can't see yourself making progress, if you can't see any growth, like doing the work is soul sucking. It's like if you're on a diet, but you never lose a single pound, how long are you going to stay on that diet? You're going to give up.
I'm going right for the Snickers.
Well, you know.
Because that sounds like a better hit than this discouraging
It's more
mess.
rewarding. Yeah. But if you have a chart I'm going to say chart because that's where my brain goes. Mm-hmm. Have stickers for you. That's fine. But if you have something that's like, I showed up every day and I haven't broken my streak. Some people, that's really satisfying. Like I can put another sticker on my chart. I love to see that. Or, you know, if it's a health goal, I put on my pants and they felt looser. I can run up and down the stairs without getting winded as much as I was earlier. Like find ways of seeing your work paying off. I think that's super important.
That's awesome.
Woo!
Okay, so tell us, what are your, what's the listener assignment then?
Okay, I want to make it easy. I want it to be super easy because doing something big and hard
drink more water
gives you an excuse to not do it. Mm-hmm. All right. So I just want you to identify a 1% improvement that you can start today that will help you towards one of your creative dreams. Something tiny. It could be just finding a pen that you think is cool. It could be spending a few minutes cleaning off your workstation or your desktop. Find something that is a 1% improvement for you, and then tell us about it. We'd love to hear about it.
Can I just, this is a quick story. I went, because you just reminded me of this. Back before I was published, and actually before I was writing, I decided to buy a notebook because I had some creative ideas. I wanted to write, but I wasn't sure. So buying that notebook was the first step in creating getting my brain active in a creative state. Like just writing some ideas or writing down some stories. But that, within a month or so, that's when I got my idea for Vivitura after I bought that notebook.
You told the universe you were ready.
Yeah, I really did. I told
delivered.
my brain, yes, and it sure did. So that idea exploded into my brain and I just kind of went forward but that was a 1% improvement.
Yeah, it was something easy that gave you something that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
So often we'll see someone else's success and it's really easy for us to say, wow, I wish I could do that. Well, you know what? You can. It's all a matter of building these small positive habits that lead you toward that goal. You're not going to turn into a bestseller overnight. You're not going to sit down one weekend and dash out an entire book. Please don't do that. Like, they'll say you can, but most people can't. So make small improvements, build positive habits, and eventually you're going to become the person who's the kind of person who does the goals that you want to get done. That's such a roundabout way of saying that. Right. I encourage all of you to identify a small positive change you can make today.
Ta-da! Sounds good. We don't need any finishing thoughts from me. No. You said it all.
Right. Candy, what is our next episode?
All right. Next episode will be, we're talking cartography. We're talking maps.
Ooh, you got geeky on me.
I love maps, and I'm going to get kind of geeky. It's going to be fun.
I think it'll be fun.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
Yay.
Map making.
All right. If anything we said today jump-started your motivation or at least gave you a cool idea in a direction you could go in that feels very achievable, we've got a tippy jar and please put money in it. Okay, that sounds too direct. Remember, we have a Patreon and a Buy Us a Coffee. Those links are easy to find on our website and also in the description of this podcast. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. This has been fun.
This has been fun.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer with Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone.
Gotcha. I went off the rails.
Yeah, a little bit.
I kind of...
Welcome to editing, everyone.
This will not appear in the final broadcast.
You lucky people get to see this.
Okay.